Imagine waking up in the middle of the night. You're feeling that, that familiar heavy grogginess.
Oh, yeah, like you're totally disoriented from a deep REM cycle.
Exactly. So you roll out of bed, your feet hit the floorboards, and you just start walking down your hallway.
Right. Totally normal scuff.
Yeah. The air in the house feels normal. The temperature is what it always is. And you walk up to a mirror, or maybe like the glass reflection of a china cabinet, and you look at yourself.
Okay, I'm with you.
But staring back at you isn't the face you've known your entire life. You're looking at yourself, sure, but this version of you is wearing a thick sweater, a fedora, and a goatee.
Wait, a fedora?
A fedora. And here is the kicker that just sends this massive shockwave through your system. You don't own a fedora.
Right.
You definitely do not have a goatee. So you realize you are occupying a body that is completely alien to you.
That is terrifying.
Right. And in that split second, you realize with absolute clarity that your actual physical body is still fast asleep in your bed down the hall.
I mean, that is just the ultimate fracture of reality, isn't it?
It really is.
It's a complete dissolution of what we consider to be our baseline existence. When the continuity of the physical self breaks like that, it just forces a total reevaluation of what consciousness actually is.
And that exact mind-bending scenario is the entry point for what we're exploring today in this deep dive.
I am so ready for this.
We've got this fascinating transcript in front of us from a YouTube interview. It's on a channel called Your Superior Self. And the guest is an individual named Corey, who claims to be an experienced, conscious astral traveler.
Which means we are talking about someone who regularly has deliberate out-of-body experiences, or OBEs.
Right, and he brings back reports from, well, wherever it is he goes.
I think we should probably establish our operational parameters for this deep dive immediately, just to set the stage.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because we are dealing with source material that actively challenges the very foundation of consensus reality. So our mission today is not to act as the paranormal police. We are not putting these claims under some microscope to definitively prove or disprove the mystical mechanics of astral projection.
Oh, definitely not. We'd be here for like a decade trying to verify the unverifiable.
Exactly. We are here to extract the profound, often provocative philosophical framework that's embedded in his worldview.
Because whether you view his out-of-body experiences as literal, objective truth,
or as a highly complex psychological metaphor.
Right. Either way, the source material provides an absolute masterclass in reclaiming personal autonomy.
Which is so needed right now. I mean, we're living in an era defined by constant anxiety, institutional distrust, just systemic overload.
And this speaker, he really offers a blueprint for untangling yourself from that fear. So let's unpack this.
Let's do it. Where do we start?
His worldview basically flips the script on almost everything we take for granted, starting with our actual dress. According to the source, Earth is not our real home.
Right. Earth is just a destination.
Yeah. In his framework, home isn't a geographic location or a planet in another galaxy or even like a specific physical dimension.
Home is a state of being.
Exactly. It's our original, uncorrupted soul form. He describes this baseline state as pure frequency and unconditional love.
That is where we originate. That is what we fundamentally are.
But I gotta say, I struggle with that concept a bit.
Really? How so?
Well, if our natural state is pure, unadulterated, unconditional love, why are we here?
The classic question.
Right. Why leave that perfection? If you have unlimited bliss, you don't pack your bags and move to a planet where you have to pay taxes, get sick, and experience heartbreak.
It doesn't make logical sense on the surface.
No, it doesn't. But he uses this incredible analogy to explain it, and I honestly haven't been able to stop thinking about it. He says life on Earth is like professional wrestling.
It sounds kind of absurd when you first hear it.
It really does.
But it is actually a surprisingly perfect mechanical metaphor for his whole philosophy of existence.
Think about the architecture of pro wrestling, right? You have these manufactured storylines, the intense drama, the clear heroes, the despicable villains.
You always have that puppet master figure, like a Vince McMahon type.
Yes. Or maybe a subset of writers in some dark back room orchestrating every outcome. They decide who gets the championship belt.
They decide when the beloved hero suddenly turns into a villain just to get a massive angry reaction from the crowd.
Exactly. And that entire narrative framework, the whole reason the crowd is cheering or booing, it's completely fabricated.
The narrative is fake, but the canvas mat they are wrestling on isn't.
That's the kicker. When a 250-pound athlete gets picked up and body slammed from the top rope onto that mat, the physical pain is very, very real.
Oh, absolutely. The sweat, the torn muscles, the sheer impact that is entirely authentic.
So it brings us back to the question. If we are these infinite souls residing in a realm of pure, effortless love, why would we volunteer to step into the ring?
Why sign the contract to get body slammed on the heavy, painful mat of earthly life?
Yeah, why do it?
Well, to understand his logic, we really have to explore the philosophical problem of contrast.
Okay, break that down for me.
Let's look at the mechanics of a realm of pure love. If you exist perpetually in a dimension without any friction,
Like zero negativity.
right, zero negativity, without any lack at all, you actually possess no experiential knowledge.
Oh, I see. You just have the theory of it.
Exactly. You have a theoretical understanding of existence, but no practical application of it.
It's like you can't know what warmth is if you've never felt the cold.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
You are the frequency of love, so you have no point of reference to measure against.
Right.
You cannot truly understand what it feels like to be controlled or what it feels like to despise someone or the crushing weight of grief.
Or even those jagged, unpredictable edges of extreme earthly joy.
Exactly. You can't know any of that without a contrasting environment, so you have to step into the simulation.
You have to lower your frequency and put on the dense physical body, which, by the way, he bluntly calls the meat suit.
The meat suit, yeah, you need it to actually feel the friction of limitation.
He makes this great comparison to going to a shopping mall or a restaurant. You know, you don't go to the mall because you live there or because you belong there forever.
Right, you go specifically for the experience of shopping.
Yeah, you enter the building, you have the localized experience, and then you leave and go home. We come to Earth to shop for experiences of limitation and heavy emotion.
And that underlying premise leads to one of the most radical and frankly confrontational claims in the entire transcript.
Oh, this is the part that's going to make people mad.
Oh, for sure. Because if we are all here specifically to experience contrast, then the concept of enemies or evil forces completely dissolves.
Right. He attacks the myth of they.
We are so deeply conditioned by our culture, our politics, the media, to believe in this shadowy they.
Like, they are controlling the economy, they are ruining the country, they are holding us down.
They are pulling all the strings. But the source vehemently rejects this architecture of victimhood. He explicitly states there is no evil cabal controlling humanity against its will.
People are going to hate hearing that.
They are.
I mean, we really love having a they to point our fingers at.
We love it because it absolves us of extreme ownership. If someone else is controlling the board, well, then I am not responsible for my position on it.
Right. It's the ultimate excuse.
But in this astral traveler's view, the bad guys, even the most corrupt politicians, the billionaires extracting wealth.
Or even on a micro level, like the people who have deeply wronged you in your personal life.
Exactly. They are all just other souls playing a role. They are co-stars in your specific cosmic play.
So they basically agreed, on a soul level, before this incarnation even happened, to interact with you.
Yes. To provide the exact friction you requested for your character's development.
That is wild. I mean, listener, just think about your own life for a second. Think about your personal villain.
We all have them.
Yeah. A toxic ex-partner who shattered your confidence, a terrible boss who made your life a living hell, or a politician whose mere voice makes your blood pressure spike.
Right. What if, on a fundamental soul level, they're just playing the heel in your wrestling match?
What if they are providing the exact gravitational pull you needed to build your own emotional resilience?
Viewing antagonists as providers of contrast rather than powerful oppressors completely neuters their authority over you.
It really does. It takes all their power away.
And the source explicitly outlines that if you believe you are a controlled, subjugated human being, then that is exactly the reality you will manifest and experience.
Because the control only exists because you consent to the illusion of it.
Exactly. You grant them power by believing they have it.
But, you know, this wrestling match reality brings up a pretty major logistical problem for me.
Okay, what's that?
If we are these infinite powerful beings stuffed into physical meat suits, how do our thoughts actually manipulate this heavy physical environment?
Ah, the mechanics of it.
Yeah, I mean, we aren't being controlled by a shadowy cabal, sure, but we're clearly bound by the laws of physics and economics.
We are. And he spends a significant portion of the interview on the mechanics of manifestation to explain that.
And thankfully, it's not that fluffy, toxic positivity kind of manifestation you see all over social media.
Not at all. His approach is highly pragmatic. It actually accounts for the grueling density of the physical world.
He doesn't pretend you can just like smile your way into $1 million.
Right. So how did you visualize his explanation?
Well, I kept trying to picture it, and the best analogy I could come up with is retail fulfillment.
Okay, I like where this is going.
So the other side, our home state of pure frequency, is like having an Amazon Prime account with instantaneous delivery.
Because there's no time or space in that realm.
Exactly. You think of a reality and it renders immediately. Thought equals instant creation.
But Earth,
Earth is like ordering from a mail order catalog in 1995. You fill out the paper form, you write the check, you put a stamp on the envelope, and then there's this massive, agonizing shipping delay.
that is a perfect way to describe it. We are bound by the heavy, viscous physics of time, space, and matter.
So we have to analyze the physics of that time lag. Why does it even exist?
Because on Earth, you aren't just dealing with dense matter, you are dealing with the friction of 8 billion other souls.
All projecting their own competing intentions into the same shared simulation.
Right. For a thought to become a physical reality here, it has to move through incredible resistance.
And that time lag is exactly where most people just abandon their intentions, or where their manifestations become incredibly chaotic.
Yeah, he shares a very intense, very grounded personal anecdote to illustrate just how chaotic it can get.
The lawsuit story.
Yes. He was working a highly lucrative corporate 9-to-5 job. On paper, it was the best job he'd ever had, making the most money he'd ever seen.
But this period in his life also coincided with the beginning of his conscious out-of-body experiences.
Exactly. He started seeing the larger architecture of reality, and he had this sudden, overwhelming realization.
He basically said, I do not want to work for anyone else ever again. I am entirely done with this corporate system.
He set a firm intention. In your analogy, he filled out the catalog order form and mailed it off. He demanded freedom from the corporate structure.
But the delivery of that order was brutal.
It was.
Because he was manifesting unconsciously at first. He was just throwing out this raw, unrefined feeling of, I hate my job, I don't want to be here.
And the universe, or the experience as he prefers to call it, simply obliged in the quickest way possible.
Yeah. He was illegally terminated, lost his massive income overnight.
He had to file a grueling lawsuit against the company, and he just had to sit in this uncomfortable, terrifying financial limbo for over a year.
Just waiting for the legal system to process his payout.
So let's look at the mechanics of why that happened. Why did a powerful, infinite soul have to struggle through a year of legal battles and financial terror?
Right, if he's a master manifester, why the messy middle?
It comes down to the time lag, but more importantly to emotional resonance.
Yeah.
You cannot just intellectually think, I want financial freedom.
Your internal emotional frequency has to completely match the reality you're asking for.
Exactly. If you ask for freedom but you are vibrating with the panic of losing your job, the dense reality of Earth will deliver a situation that matches the panic.
And during that year of waiting, he was put through a massive ego death.
Oh, a huge one.
Because he lost his income, his wife's private business suddenly started booming, so she stepped up to pay all the bills.
And he talks very openly about how much this triggered his traditional male ego.
Yeah, he had always been the provider. He defined his worth by his paycheck, and suddenly he felt completely inadequate and emasculated.
Which he quickly recognized was just another layer of matrix programming he had to shed.
Right. He realized that the concept of traditional gender roles, the deeply ingrained idea that the man must be the primary breadwinner to have value, was just another artificial construct.
Just another fabricated storyline in the wrestling match to keep him in a state of low-frequency stress?
Exactly. Once he let go of that societal expectation and simply accepted his wife's support with gratitude, he stopped introducing friction into his own manifestation.
He realized the more you try to muscle the external world into submission, the more you mess up the delivery of what you asked for.
So how did he actually fix his frequency while staring down a massive lawsuit and zero income?
Well, he didn't focus on the lawyers. He didn't focus on the dollar amount of the settlement.
Right. During his daily meditations, he focused entirely on 3 specific words.
Love, peace, and tranquility.
That's it. No vision boards of sports cars or big houses, just those 3 emotional states.
He repeated those concepts, visualizing the feeling of them, until his internal emotional state rested permanently in that frequency.
Completely independent of the fact that he was currently unemployed and waiting on a stalled legal system.
He essentially divorced his internal state from his external circumstances.
And the result of that practice blew my mind.
Oh, it's fascinating.
When he finally won the lawsuit and received this massive financial settlement, he said he didn't even get that excited.
Not because he was ungrateful or numb.
Right. but because he had already been emotionally living in that exact state of wealth and tranquility for months.
The arrival of the check was literally just a delayed receipt for a purchase he'd already made.
We really have to extrapolate the profound economic philosophy here. This completely redefines what wealth actually is in a physical matrix.
True wealth, in his framework, is emotional equilibrium.
Yeah. It is the sovereign ability to dictate your internal state regardless of the chaos happening outside your window.
The paper money in your wallet, the digital zeros in your bank account, the house you own, those are just lagging indicators of your internal frequency.
Right. If you desire financial abundance, but you constantly consume media that makes you feel the fear of scarcity, the universe will only reflect back your fear.
He actually states it as a mathematical rule. If you want money but you are terrified to spend it, you are broadcasting a signal to the experience that you don't have enough.
So the experience will continue to give you a reality of not enough,
You have to achieve the emotional reality of abundance first while you are still broke.
which is an incredibly tall order when the external world is engineered to scream at you to be afraid of inflation, job loss, and economic collapse.
But that is the precise test of the density here. Can you hold the frequency of peace when the illusion is actively threatening you?
Man, that's heavy. But let's shift gears a bit. I want to get into the actual mechanics of his astral travel.
His field trips.
Yes, because the field trips he describes, they really test the limits of how we understand consciousness.
They absolutely do.
The source claims that time is entirely an illusion. Past, present, and future are not linear. They are all happening simultaneously.
And because the soul is infinite, it means we are living infinite parallel lives right now across different realms, timelines, and physical bodies.
So he is proposing that the soul is a multidimensional entity, not just a singular point of light tethered to a single linear timeline.
Right, it's a vast network of experiences happening all at once.
I want to break down the specific experiences he uses to prove this, starting with the African CEO story.
Okay, set the scene for us.
During one of his deep, meditative, out-of-body experiences, he describes this sensation of suddenly clicking into the body of a very important figure.
But he isn't just hovering as a ghost, right?
No, he is looking out through this man's physical eyes. He's in this well-appointed home in Africa, surrounded by important officials, conducting a high-level meeting.
So he is actually utilizing the sensory processing hardware of this other person.
Yes.
It's a phenomenon known as non-local consciousness, where the awareness bypasses local physical limitations.
So he's taking in the room, listening to the conversation, and then he looks down at his feet, and he realizes something really jarring.
What's that?
He is occupying the body of a black African man, but he is looking at white toes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and more specifically, he notes that he has very distinct holes in his socks.
Okay, that's a very specific detail.
Right. Now, if that's where the story ended, you'd just write it off as a vivid, strange dream.
Obviously.
But he takes this specific experience back to a private, vetted community of OBE practitioners that he collaborates with.
And what happens?
Sometime later, one of the members of that group sends him a photograph taken in the real world. It's a picture of a prominent white banking official visiting Africa, sitting in a high-level meeting.
Wait, really?
Yes. And visible in the photograph are holes in his socks that exactly match the distinct pattern the source saw through the host's eyes.
That is wild. We really have to analyze the physics of what he's proposing here.
Seriously, how does that work?
Well, this suggests a level of consciousness that completely defies standard biological models. The brain isn't generating the consciousness.
Right, the consciousness is like a signal.
Exactly, a signal that can essentially log into different avatars across the simulation, even overriding or sharing the feed of another living person.
Which brings us back to the fedora and the mirror from the opening of our deep dive.
Ah, yes. Chubby Corey.
Yeah. He details this very conscious, deliberate OBE, starting right from his physical bed. He's running through his specific protocols, actively lowering his heart rate, and he feels the distinct physical sensation of separation.
He describes literally rolling his consciousness out of his physical body and dropping onto the bedroom floor.
But he notes an important mechanical detail here.
Yes. Initially, his vision in the astral form is blurry. He has to consciously command his awareness to sharpen and focus.
Which actually aligns with decades of historical and cross-cultural accounts of astral projection. It requires active mental control to stabilize the avatar.
So he stabilizes his vision and walks to his bedroom door.
Right. His real physical bedroom is dark, his wife is sleeping, it's a bit messy. But when he opens the door, blinding light pours in.
Because the hallway is completely different.
Exactly. It's filled with expensive antique furniture and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves.
Hmm.
And he realizes he isn't walking anymore.
His feet aren't touching the ground.
No, he's hovering. So he hovers over to a glass china cabinet, specifically to check his reflection.
Which is a very natural impulse.
Yeah.
He wants to see what form his consciousness has adopted in this specific parallel environment.
And that's when he sees Chubby Corey, a fuller-faced, heavier version of himself, wearing a thick sweater, a goatee, and a fedora.
And he doesn't freak out right away.
Not at first. He just stands there for a moment, smiling at his reflection, completely fascinated that he is occupying a parallel version of his own soul's journey.
But the fascination doesn't last.
No. The human fear mechanism kicks in. A sudden intrusive thought pops into his head. This ain't the place I want to be.
The sheer foreignness of the environment just spooks him.
Yeah. And the millisecond that fear hits his awareness, the experience terminates violently.
He gets pulled back.
He flies backward down the hall, sees his actual physical body sleeping in the bed with an eye mask and headphones on, and he literally swan dives back into his physical form, waking up with a massive jolt and a racing heart.
We need to unpack the mechanics of that return, because it really explains his entire philosophy of the human body.
Why did he snap back instantly?
He explains that when the soul, even while out of the body, experiences fear, it triggers a sympathetic nervous system response in the sleeping physical body.
The physical heart rate spikes.
Right, because the heart is the electromagnetic tether keeping the soul bound to the physical matrix. So a spiking heart rate acts like a retracting leash.
The moment the heart panics, it just yanks the consciousness immediately back into the physical processor for safety.
It's an automatic survival reflex.
I love that mechanical explanation. And we're going to dive much deeper into the heart tether concept a bit later.
Good, because that's crucial.
But there's one more astral trip I have to mention because it is so uniquely modern and honestly a little absurd.
Let me guess. The Kendrick Lamar dinner.
Yes, the Kendrick Lamar dinner,
So this specific event occurred during a state of self-induced sleep paralysis.
which he says is often used as a launch pad for OBEs.
Exactly. But he doesn't roll out of bed this time.
No, he skips the transition entirely and just suddenly appears in a new location.
Yeah.
He's at this stunning marina in Santorini, Greece.
Classic white buildings, bright sun, luxury boats bobbing in the water.
Yeah. And he is sitting at a long, crowded dinner table. He is inside someone else's body, looking through their eyes.
But he doesn't know whose body it is.
He has no idea. He's just chilling, eating, listening to the ambient conversation. And then he looks to his right, to the head of the table.
And who is sitting there?
Sitting right next to him is the mega famous rapper, Kendrick Lamar.
And what is this massive cultural icon doing in this parallel reality?
He is complaining bitterly.
About what?
Kendrick is complaining to the table about having to pay the massive dinner bill for everyone.
That is hilarious.
Right. And Corey, the astral traveler, is sitting inside this unknown host body, quietly listening to this millionaire complain, and his internal monologue is just, "Bro, you're rich. Shut up and pay the bill."
It's a highly amusing anecdote for sure, but the philosophical implications behind it are really staggering.
Because he's just a passenger.
Exactly. He cannot control the vocal cords or the movements of the host body. He is merely observing the reality through its sensory inputs.
It's like sitting in the passenger seat of a car while a stranger drives, but you can see through the windshield and hear the radio.
This raises a profoundly unsettling question about the nature of our own internal monologues.
Oh, this part got me.
Right. If the human mind is just a biological processor, a sophisticated camera lens, and the soul is the user looking through the lens, how insulated are we really?
If we are all fractals of one singular source energy, all connected on a fundamental quantum level, the boundaries between you and me are highly permeable.
Listener, just think about your own day-to-day. Have you ever been driving to work or maybe washing the dishes, and suddenly you had a thought, an urge, or a flash of emotion that felt completely alien to who you are?
A thought so out of character, it actually startled you.
What if in that moment you weren't losing your mind or experiencing a random synaptic misfire?
What if you were just receiving temporary bleed-through input from a parallel version of yourself?
Or what if a parallel soul briefly overlapped with your frequency and was just sitting in your passenger seat for a minute?
The source even mentions being explicitly warned by his OBE mentor about this. He was told that as a passenger in these other bodies, you must practice extreme emotional discipline.
Because even though you can't steer the body, your emotional presence can subconsciously influence the host's decisions.
Right. If you panic while in someone else's body, they might suddenly feel an unexplainable wave of anxiety in their real life.
It completely recontextualizes human empathy, intuition, and intrusive thoughts.
It really does. So, if we have this ultimate infinite freedom on the soul level, if we can hop timelines and share consciousness, how does that translate to the very rigid, very controlled systems we are forced to live under right now?
Ah, the matrix itself.
Yeah, the financial systems, the mandatory work hours, the geopolitical governments. The conversation in the transcript pivots hard into the future of these earthly systems.
And then this is where he bucks almost every trend in the alternative thinking and conspiracy space.
He emphatically rejects the idea of a dystopian future.
He is vehemently opposed to the popular narratives of a looming New World Order, inevitable nuclear fallout, or permanent technocratic enslavement by elites.
I have to challenge that, though, and honestly, the interviewer did too. I'm going to play the role of the skeptic here.
Go for it.
It's easy to say dystopia is an illusion, but almost every alternative news source and even mainstream geopolitical trends point directly toward total, inescapable control.
They certainly paint a grim picture.
We are watching the development of social credit scores. We are hearing urban planning theories about 15-minute cities where your movement could theoretically be restricted.
And AI automation.
Yes, we have artificial intelligence threatening to automate the middle class into destitution. We have central banks openly testing programmable digital currencies that could track and restrict every penny you spend.
The walls definitely feel like they're closing in.
Right. And you can't just vibrate your way out of a frozen bank account.
But that feeling right there, that exact suffocating sense of the walls closing in, is the mechanism of the trap.
How so?
We have to connect this back to the physics of manifestation we discussed in segment 2. The source argues that these dystopian narratives, and he explicitly includes ancient apocalyptic texts like the biblical Book of Revelation in this category, are essentially highly sophisticated fear-based programming.
So they are code injected into the matrix.
Exactly. So the matrix is trying to get us to manifest our own prison.
That's twisted.
Precisely. Let's look at the logic. If we are infinite, powerful creator souls, the sister itself does not possess the raw power to enslave us against our will.
Because it physically cannot force compliance on a soul level.
Right. It can only present a terrifying storyline, a catastrophic projection of the future, and hope that the souls consent to it by pouring their emotional energy into it.
Wow. So if you believe a programmable central bank digital currency is coming to ruin your life, you are projecting a frequency of absolute fear and powerlessness.
You are living in terror today over a hypothetical tomorrow. Therefore, you are already controlled.
The system has already succeeded in lowering your frequency without a single microchip ever being implanted or a single bank account being frozen.
That's the trap.
So if the dystopian collapse is just a mirage designed to harvest our fear, what does he actually see coming? Because he claims to have Astral traveled forward on our timeline and witnessed what happens to our systems.
He describes an upcoming golden age, a complete foundational paradigm shift in how humanity operates.
He witnessed a reality where AI and advanced robotics do not impoverish humanity and leave us destitute.
Right. Rather, they drive the cost of production, agriculture, and logistics down to effectively zero.
And this abundance leads naturally to a state of universal high income. He even notes that prominent tech figures like Elon Musk have theorized this exact post-scarcity trajectory.
Which makes logical sense if human labor is no longer the bottleneck for production.
He describes a specific vision of walking into a grocery store this future timeline. The atmosphere is totally different.
How so?
There are no cashiers, no stressed-out managers, no security guards. People are relaxed, they are happy, they just walk the aisles, put whatever they need for their family into their bags, scanners read it automatically without them stopping, and they leave.
The concept of trading 40 hours of your life doing grueling, unfulfilling labor just to earn the right to eat has been completely eradicated.
Because the artificial scarcity that props up the current fiat debt system has been dissolved.
Let's talk about the money itself, because he had a very specific, highly symbolic vision regarding currency.
Yeah, this was fascinating. During one of these temporal OBEs, he looked down at his hand, and he was holding a $100 bill.
It felt like real paper. It had Benjamin Franklin's face on it, just like the money in our wallets today.
But stretched vividly across Benjamin Franklin's beard were the bright, distinct colors of the rainbow.
And this is where the subjective vision collides with objective reality.
Yes. Because when he returned to his waking state and researched this specific imagery online, he discovered existing economic theories surrounding something called a rainbow currency.
I had to look this up myself, actually.
Me too. There are entire economic theories predicting that after the inevitable mathematical collapse of the current fiat debt system,
Where money is printed out of thin air and backed by nothing but government force.
right, after that collapses, the financial reset won't be some dystopian, trackable slave coin. Instead, it'll be a new, transparent, asset-backed abundance system colloquially referred to in some circles as rainbow currency.
It blew his mind because he saw the exact visual representation of it in the astral before he even knew the economic term existed in the physical world.
If you accept this vision, if you believe the future is already secure and trending toward extreme abundance, it completely alters your method of rebellion in the present moment.
It definitely does. How do you fight the visible corruption of the current system if you know the system is already destined to fail?
You don't fight it. That's the counterintuitive secret he discovered.
Exactly. He asserts that fighting the system, aggressively storming capitals, rioting in the streets, engaging in constant, furious political debate online, is still feeding the matrix with your most potent emotional energy.
Anger is just as sustaining to the system as fear.
If you are screaming at the matrix, you are validating the matrix. You are treating the illusion as a legitimate, powerful threat, which anchors it deeper into your reality.
He says the true ultimate method of rebellion is simply non-participation.
You choke the life out of negative dystopian timelines by refusing to give them your fear, your anger, or your attention.
He uses a very practical example from his own life regarding the recent global COVID mandates.
Oh, this is a great example.
When he was told by his employer that he had to submit to a mandatory medical procedure to keep his job, he didn't protest.
He didn't grab a megaphone, he didn't sue them, he didn't scream at his boss.
He just quietly said no. He allowed them to fire him, and he moved his family to a different state with laws that aligned with his internal frequency.
He completely withdrew his energetic consent from the friction.
It is the ultimate expression of personal sovereignty.
Yeah.
You do not beg a corrupt system for freedom, and you do not fight a corrupt system to win freedom.
You generate the frequency of freedom internally, and you force the external reality to align with you, or you simply bypass the restrictive reality altogether.
Okay, this brings us to the most controversial part of our deep dive. Before we go any further into his specific claims about the physical world, we need to do a reality check and set some very firm ground rules.
This is absolutely crucial for our structural integrity today.
We really have to be clear here.
Yes. The source we are analyzing is about to venture into territory that actively and aggressively deconstructs accepted history, empirical science, and orthodox religious dogma.
So as your guides on this deep dive, we must explicitly state that we are impartially reporting the claims made by this individual.
We were not endorsing these viewpoints.
We are not attempting to validate them as scientific or historical fact, nor are we attempting to debunk them.
We are acting strictly as neutral tour guides, walking you through the architecture of his worldview. We aren't asking you to believe him.
We're looking at why he believes these things and what psychological purpose the destruction of these foundational truths serves in his ultimate philosophy of total personal autonomy.
Right. With that firm boundary established, let's look at the claims because they leave absolutely no stone unturned. He systematically targets the pillars of human consensus.
He goes after everything. Let's start with science and the military-industrial complex.
Okay.
He claims that nuclear weapons, as the public understands them, are a massive coordinated deception.
He specifically points to the classic mid-century footage of atomic bomb tests.
Yeah, we've all seen those archival reels, right? The ones where the blinding flash hits,
Yeah.
and then a picturesque suburban house is violently blown into matchsticks by the shockwave.
He states that this footage was faked, using highly detailed model cars and miniature houses on sound stages.
And let's examine the specific logical anomaly he uses to justify this belief. He asks the very simple question of the footage.
What's the question?
If the blast is powerful enough to instantly vaporize steel and concrete houses, how does the camera, firming the destruction, which is positioned in the direct line of the blast, perfectly survive to deliver the footage?
He uses that mechanical anomaly to justify rejecting the entire fear-based narrative of mutually assured destruction.
Right. Then he moves on to geography.
Here we go.
He aligns with the assertion that the Earth is not a globe floating in a vacuum. Through his conscious astral travels, viewing the realm from above, he claims to have observed Earth as a massive, flat, contained plane.
We need to explain the context he uses here, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
He specifically mentions looking down at the continent of Africa and seeing that its landmass is significantly larger and differently proportioned than what our standard maps indicate.
He essentially attacks the Mercator projection.
Right. For context, the standard world maps we use in classrooms, the Mercator projection, were designed for naval navigation centuries ago.
To make the grid lines straight, the map artificially inflates the size of land masses near the poles, like Greenland and North America, and shrinks land masses near the equator, like Africa.
He takes this known cartographic distortion and uses it as proof that we are being fundamentally lied to about the size and shape of our reality.
And he claims this isn't exclusively astral metaphysical knowledge either. He states that commercial airline pilots secretly understand they are flying over a flat plane.
He references the alleged logistical anomalies of commercial flight paths.
Yes, specifically pointing to the inability or extreme rarity of booking direct flights across the southern hemisphere, like a straight shot from Sao Paulo, Brazil, directly over the ocean to South Africa.
Claiming the flight paths only make logistical sense on a flat plane model.
From geography, he moves to history. He asserts that major paradigm-shifting historical tragedies, specifically the sinking of the Titanic and the attack on Pearl Harbor, were not accidents, tragedies of hubris, or surprise military attacks.
He claims they were meticulously orchestrated, sacrificial events designed by elite factions to consolidate financial and geopolitical control.
In the case of the Titanic, he references the long-standing counter-narrative that key, powerful industrialists who vehemently opposed the creation of the American central banking system.
The Federal Reserve.
Yes, the Federal Reserve were conveniently grouped together and eliminated on that specific voyage, clearing the path for financial monopolization.
And finally, he takes a sledgehammer to traditional religion, specifically Orthodox Christianity.
Now, he acknowledges Jesus of Nazareth as a real, highly advanced historical figure, but he completely rejects the church doctrine that Jesus was a unique, exclusionary deity.
The only Son of God.
Right. Instead, he views Christ as an archetype, a level of high-frequency consciousness that any human being can theoretically achieve and embody.
To support this, he references apocryphal texts that were excluded from the canonical Bible, specifically the Gospel of Thomas.
These Gnostic texts often emphasize internal personal divinity over external church hierarchy.
He suggests that when the historical Jesus was performing miracles like raising people from the dead or healing the sick, he wasn't acting as an untouchable God breaking the laws of physics.
He was acting as a master manifester who deeply understood the metaphysical laws of the matrix and was manipulating the code of the simulation. Okay, I know for a vast majority of you listening right now, your intellectual alarms are ringing loud enough to shatter glass.
Your brain is likely screaming to debunk the fake nukes, the flat earth, and the historical conspiracies.
But let's pause the debunking reflex for just a minute and analyze this like psychologists. What is the utility of these beliefs?
Why does his specific pathway to freedom demand the absolute destruction of every foundational narrative we are taught in school and church?
That is the most important question we can ask of this material. Even if you vehemently disagree with every single one of those claims, the underlying psychological utility is profound.
The speaker's overarching philosophy dictates that to be a truly free, sovereign soul, you must completely sever your reliance on externally inherited knowledge.
Because if you blindly accept the government's version of history, the academic system's version of science, and the church's version of theology, without questioning any of it, you have entirely outsourced your reality to external authorities.
You have given them the keys to your mind.
Exactly. By systematically, almost aggressively rejecting the most universal accepted bedrock facts of human reality, he is performing a radical act of mental decoupling.
He is ripping the conditioning of the matrix out by its deepest roots.
When you can look at a globe and say, I don't believe you, it forces you to rely solely on your own internal compass.
It forces you to navigate existence using your own intuition and your own direct experience, rather than deferring to a textbook or a news anchor.
And this brings us to a critical biological and spiritual mechanism he outlines, which ties this entire philosophy together.
In our modern society, we place supreme emphasis on the brain. I think, therefore I am.
The brain is the supercomputer. The brain is where the facts live. The brain is what argues about the shape of the earth or the validity of historical archives.
But the source argues we have the biological hierarchy entirely upside down. He says the brain does not keep you alive.
The heart does.
It is a beautiful, elegant synthesis of physiology and metaphysics. Let's look at the medical reality. A human being can be completely brain dead.
They can be in a persistent vegetative state with zero higher cognitive function.
But as long as the physical heart is pumping blood, they are legally and biologically considered alive. The soul remains tethered to the physical meat suit.
But the absolute second the heart stops beating, regardless of how much residual electrical activity remains in the brain, the soul departs the simulation.
The heart's electromagnetic field is the literal physical anchor for the soul in this matrix.
I think we need a clear mechanical analogy for this. Think of the soul as a deep-sea diver, exploring the incredible pressure and density of the ocean floor.
The physical human body is the heavy, cumbersome diving suit.
Right. In this analogy, the human brain is just the digital dashboard inside the helmet. It processes the immediate environment. It shows you the oxygen levels, the water temperature, and the depth.
It's an information processor.
But the heart's electromagnetic field is the actual physical air hose connecting the diver all the way back up to the shell on the surface.
Connecting the soul back to source.
If the dashboard in the helmet breaks, the diver is blind, but still alive. But if that air hose gets cut, the diver is instantly pulled back up to the surface.
That perfectly explains why he snapped back into his body when he got scared as chubby Corey. The fear spiked his heart rate, yanking the air hose.
When you deeply internalize that hierarchy, that the heart is the tether and the brain is just a calculator, your entire value system shifts.
You stop overvaluing intellectual facts because the matrix can manipulate, distort, or fake data to trick the brain.
You start placing ultimate supreme value on emotional truth. The frequency of your heart becomes the only reliable navigation tool in a universe made of illusions.
It completely explains his extreme discipline focus entirely on the emotions of love, peace, and tranquility.
He isn't trying to outthink the matrix with his brain.
No, the matrix is a supercomputer. It will always outthink you. He is choosing to vibrate above the matrix using his heart.
So let's bring it all home. We have covered a massive amount of strange, disruptive ground today.
We really have. We've explored infinite parallel lives, the mechanics of non-local consciousness, rainbow currency, flat earth theory, and cosmic wrestling matches.
But beneath all the sensational claims, the ultimate message of this source material is surprisingly grounding and deeply empowering. We are infinite souls having a very temporary, very dense human experience.
The core takeaway is absolute sovereignty. There is no external force, no shadowy cabal, no oppressive governmental system that can truly control your soul unless you actively consent to it by handing over your fear and your emotional power.
You win this bizarre, painful, beautiful video game, not by fighting the bosses at the end of the level, but by maintaining your emotional equilibrium.
You win by being the uncompromising embodiment of love, peace, and tranquility, regardless of the terrifying chaos rendering on the screen in front of you.
I want to issue a practical challenge based on this framework. Try applying this to your physical reality today, just as an experiment in consciousness.
Observe your own emotional reactions. When the news notification upsets you, when a coworker actively frustrates you, or when you feel that cold dread of financial anxiety creeping into your chest.
Pause for 3 seconds and ask yourself a mechanical question. Am I giving my power away to the matrix right now?
Am I choosing to let the puppet master's body slam me onto the mat, or am I remembering that I'm just visiting this mall for the experience?
It changes your entire posture toward reality.
It fundamentally shifts you from being a helpless victim of circumstance to being the conscious, untouchable architect of your own reality.
I want to leave you with one final, lingering thought to chew on. We've talked extensively today about remembering who we really are, breaking the matrix conditioning to remember that we are infinite, all-knowing pieces of source energy.
But let's push that logic one step further.
If this speaker is right, and you truly are already an all-knowing, immortal piece of the cosmos, maybe the most valuable thing you possess in this heavy, dense human life isn't your profound spiritual knowledge.
What could be more valuable than knowing the truth of the universe?
Maybe the most valuable thing you possess is your ability to forget.
Oh, wow.
Because if you existed in a state where you knew everything all the time forever, there would be no surprise.
There would be no thrill of sudden discovery.
There would be no profound joy in overcoming a seemingly impossible challenge. And there would be no desperate sweetness in finally finding love after being alone.
Without the temporary illusion of not knowing, without the darkness of the matrix, this entire beautiful, painful, messy human experience wouldn't even exist.
So when you wake up tomorrow morning, when you walk down your hallway, and you look in the mirror, hopefully seeing your actual face and not a guy in a fedora,
Ask yourself, Since you chose to forget everything just to be here, what are you going to choose to discover today?
A powerful, terrifying, and beautiful question to carry with you into the simulation. Thank you for taking this massive deep dive with us. Keep questioning the consensus, keep exploring your own frequency, and we'll see you next time.